For the first time since the Islamic coup in 1979, Iran's leaders have negotiated with the United States and her allies and agreed to neutralize its highly enriched uranium, to suspend efforts to produce any more of the bomb-ready stuff for about 6 months, and they've said they'll cooperate with a regime of inspections by the UN's nuclear watchdog. With all of this peace on Earth just in time for Christmas, what could possibly go wrong? I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle. Well, men, in the wee hours of this weekend, our tireless diplomat, Secretary of State John Kerry, would have broken into a broad grin if his cosmetic surgeon had not advised against it. Kerry and his Nobel Prize-winning boss have achieved what eluded 4 presidents over 35 years, an actual agreement with Iran, designed to eventually stop its nuclear weapons program. Now, Stephen Green, are we being snookered?
Well, of course we're being snookered. We're being snookered because this whole deal, as bad as it is, and I won't bore you with the details. I have a feeling you're going to get into that yourself, Scott. This whole deal is nothing but a ruse to distract away from Obamacare, which has taken health insurance away from 5 million Americans. The projections are now that at least 50 to 80 to maybe 93 million more Americans are going to lose or have altered and made more expensive their employer-based coverage, or their wives or their husbands are going to get kicked off, or their kids are going to get kicked off. That's what this is about, is trying to distract America from the real issue going into the November 2014 elections, and that is the real and lasting harm Obamacare is doing to this nation.
Now, Bill Whittle, is that the case? I mean, is this whole thing just a distraction to take our eyes off of, the Snake River Canyon-esque performance of the Obamacare health plan?
Well, first of all, 93 million Americans without health insurance is 1 American every mile marker from here to the sun. That's a lot of people. And I'll tell you something else. Not only does this suit, the reason this deal happened is because it suits the president to have something that's not about Obamacare and the failures. And, it's a peace deal. Sure it is. And it suits the Iranians as well, because the Iranians continue to do what they do. They're continuing to refine their uranium, and they know what this whole thing is. They know what a hudna is. They know what weakness is. And so it suits both parties, right? It lets the Barack Obama administration talk about this big peace deal that means absolutely nothing to a regime that's been at war with America since 1979. And it gives the Iranians yet another chance to just wink and smile and shake their heads at these idiots in Washington who continue to let them run out more line and run out more line. Our model for dealing with Iran, historically, has been our model for dealing with debt. Every time it comes time to pull the line taut, we just let it go, let it run some more.
Well, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu greeted the deal on Twitter, saying, "What was achieved last night in Geneva is not an historic agreement. It is an historic mistake." Now, Steve, isn't it good to finally have a president in the White House who doesn't dance to the tune of the Zionist lobby, who's willing to stand up to Bibi the bully?
The Zionist lobby. I wish they had just 10% of the power that they think they have. Maybe we could whip the Middle East into shape. Look, you have to wonder when American Jews, and I'm half of one, are finally going to get fed up with the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, which pretty much controls the entire party now, and how many times they're going to sell out Israel. This deal is so bad, it has the Israelis working together with the Saudis to maybe go to war together against Iran. This is insane. And we should also be frustrated by this is what we should really be frustrated with. I just took my eye off the ball. The real problem here, the real problem is Obamacare. This is what we need to focus on, and it's what we've got to stay focused on for the next 11 months until we can win control of the Senate and repeal this awful law, and maybe reinstall the sanctions regime that Obama is going to unilaterally lift after this agreement.
Well, Secretary Kerry says he's not naive about Iran's history of noncompliance, and that international monitors will be very hard at work to verify. Meanwhile, Republicans and some Democrats in Congress have grave reservations about the deal, Well, Bill, wouldn't they be politically foolish to block a deal aimed at making the world a safer place? And wouldn't Iran be stupid to try to outfox the inspectors, since Israel, the U.S., and her allies have more than enough firepower to send the Islamic Republic back to the Bronze Age?
Well, first of all, Scott, what's going to happen if the inspectors find out that there's some kind of discrepancy? They'll produce their little Potemkin village of laboratories that the inspectors can see. And what happens if the inspectors say, wait a minute, these guys have exceeded their limits? What's going to happen? We know what's going to happen. Munich is going to happen, and the Rhineland is going to happen, and Anschluss is going to happen. They'll get a harshly worded letter from some diplomat someplace, and the next thing you know, there's going to be a mushroom cloud over Tel Aviv. And that's apparently what it's going to take to dislodge the progressive Jewish American party that is put, not party, but the group of people, Jewish Americans who voted for Barack Obama twice in overwhelming numbers. I actually wonder what it is going to take for them to wake up that this guy is not only not a friend of Israel, he is absolutely causing them to be backed into the ocean. I suspect it's going to take video of an orange mushroom cloud to wake these people up. I don't understand it. I really don't. How often do you have to deal with a reckless criminal regime, which I'll remind you is responsible for most of our deaths in Iraq, were produced and designed and detonated by, or technicians were Iranian technicians. They've been at war with us since 1979. And it seems like it's, we feel like Winston Churchill in the back of Parliament in the 1930s saying, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And then it happens, and people go, who could have seen this coming?
Well, Iran's so-called moderate new president, Hassan Rouhani, needs his centrifuges, not to power his laundry machine, but to protect his war machine. Because Islam can never provide the foundation for justice, liberty, or representative governance. Islam's earthly masters demand obedience, but can secure it only through force and fear. Circumnavigate the earth in vain, seeking a free and happy people whose government draws its principles from the pages of the Quran. Meanwhile, across the pond, Barack Obama needs a boost and desperately needs a legacy. But he's not merely ignorant of history. He has embraced a vision of it which sees America as the impediment to utopia. So, who presents a more clear and present danger to peace on earth? At the moment, I would suggest it's those who most loudly profess goodwill toward men. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.